So I thought that that parking enforcement lady was kind of funny. So I thought I'd kind of see like who's down here, see what's kind of going on and whatnot. Because like that lady kind of looked up at like my room, like kind of worrying, and she was kind of like strolling fast towards where this other guy that the parking enforcement lady was talking to. I was like, what is this all about? I'm like, what is this all about? Might as well see what it's all about. I know I've been calling UCLA out a lot. Maybe that lady works at UCLA, I'm not too sure. But I don't know. It just seemed like superficial. It seemed like a fake conversation. Oh, it was a security company person. Look. For CSD. I was like, oh shoot, that's crazy. I was like, that's pretty crazy. I'm saying like, I was like, man. 1050. I forgot what that means. Also, this is legal. I was like, shoot. I was like, see, I can't say anything about like some of the African American and black gangs out here because they're just living peacefully. At least it's going to look peaceful to most people. Especially, when they're just talking to like very corrupt security companies. It's funny because like there's like just a Raspado person, but it's like so many cartel out here. I also get a Raspado person. Imagine you like trying to do your daily tasks and whatnot. You're trying to live your life and like, yeah, you got a Raspado person freaking tooting their horn all the time. It's like, yeah, that's good to disrupt your day. That makes sense, right? Or it doesn't. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. That parking meter lady is like long gone. Yeah, this guy's right here. For CSD. It even has like an unmarked vehicle and everything. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. He ran into the UCLA thrift shop. And they even gave him and granted him access to, the back of the facility and whatnot. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. I don't even know what to say, to be honest. But yeah, I thought I'd just get that real quick. I knew the Raspado person was like trying to anger me because like it would be the same thing in San Pedro. Like there would just be a Raspado person or like especially the Tamale people just yelling out Tamale and stuff, like just distracting me. But when that didn't work, like Department of Mental Health and Department of Public Health Services had to come because they really didn't want me to have anything. I mean, shoot, find a person that could even like provide for me, like even different and not the same from my mom. I'm like, shoot, if I had a girlfriend and she was willing to like give me a place to live and whatnot, would that be wrong? You know who would say that's wrong? Cartel would say that that's wrong. I'm like, Cartel would say that that's wrong. I'm like, I guess Cartel would. I'm like, shoot. I know parking enforcement was like really corrupt, but that kind of security company, I'm like, shoot.
He's waiting for you.
Hola, señor.
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien.
How's it going?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios. Acalorado, pero bien.
Gracias a Dios, ¿no?
I just kind of don't like racial bias or institutional
Sí,
bias.
sí, sí. ¿Qué le voy a dar?
¿Me podrá dar unas sabritas, por favor?
I was like, shoot. Also, remember who exactly has my healthcare information. I was like, remember who has my healthcare information. On Instagram and everything. I was like, shoot. I was like, oh. Because it's the same thing. I'm like, so you guys, like, UCLA diagnoses me with autism, and then they just have people, like, you know, that spy me and stuff. I'm like, shoot. Just like LAPD, you guys have a better job to do. You're still waiting for me? That's why I said he's waiting for you. He was talking about me, not the Rospalo guy. Anyway. That was just like, what's up LAPD at that point. Also get it. LAPD and like Department of Public Health and Department of Mental Health Los Angeles, UCLA Health. I'm like, shoot, dude. I still have Dignity Health, where is that, like, downtown, calling me saying that I owe them money, and I'm like, what money are you talking about? You didn't even take care of me medically. Just like my doctor before she literally dropped me out of practice, like, my primary care physician was really like, oh yeah, we don't want to get in a lawsuit. You know, you really did have MRSA on your arm. I'm like, I know I did have MRSA on my arm. I'm like, seriously. And my mom actually gave it to me. Breaking a freaking part of the gate and like, you know, getting a cut on my arm and stuff. I'm like, it's really orchestrated like that to where it's complex. It's like UCLA, the security company, LAPD and like Department of Mental Health and Department of Public Health Services. I'm like, that gets really too complicated. I'm like, all this for working women, dude. And they all like let people know about me. I'm like, hello. That's why he said like very condescendingly, like, and you know, covertly, like, oh yeah, he's waiting for you. And I'm like, I know. I was like, he's not talking about the Rospalo person. You could hear it in his tone. He's like, oh yeah, this kid that really like makes a lot of connections is waiting for you. And I'm like, what connections? The same connections that you try to use against me. Like, you try to really brandish like college students and like 9-to-5 workers and everything, and like security companies and all that against me. I'm like, shoot. It's kind of crazy when you have like community members that'll come in like very abruptly, like out of nowhere, and then like yeah, they'll be like very cordial with them, but like they won't really let it be known that they actually know them. Kind of like the security guard with that parking meter lady outside earlier on my short before this video. Oh man. I'm like, man, it's pretty crazy. no shame, I guess. I was like, all good. I'm still going to learn to live and love my life the best I can. Whether I get any medical attention or not, or any legal services especially or not. But, yeah, I just had to come down from my room and I'm like, yeah, what is this security guy talking so loudly with this parking meter lady for Los Angeles County, on about? I'm like, what is this on about, dude? I'm like, is it because, like, some people could refuse, like, to serve anybody, even, like, give medical attention? Did you ever notice that there's no, like, there's nothing that really states that, like, nobody could refuse medical attention to you, but they could still do it either way? I was like, it kind of makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense, or maybe people are too stupid to realize that, but at least it makes sense to me. I'm like, shoot, dude, that's super crazy. Yeah, I had to come down and I'm like, what is this song about? Also, for reference, there's no reason to have the security guard here. Obviously, if, like, I've encountered, this particular security company right here, and they've violated my rights somehow, or, use some form of defamation. I was like, yeah, that security company right there. Defamation. I'm like, who can I call for help? Like, because this is a lot to take in. My healthcare services are being taken away. My records are being compromised. My public imagery is, tainted a little bit. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, I'm not too sure. A security company, an entire college, an entire medical industry, public services, healthcare services, and legal services within Los Angeles County. I'm like, that's a little bit too much to handle. Also, it partly has to do with sort of immigration services. A little bit, kind of. Well, like, get it because, cartel was, like, literally right there. As a Raspado person, like, fronting as a Raspado person, I'm like, that would be pretty funny. I'm like, but it's all good. Basically, the security companies, they just overlook, like, people being trafficked in some form of fashion. And they'll even do it, like, once or twice and then, like, never do it again. And, yeah. I guess that's basically it. I'm like, shoot, dude. I don't know when I'm going to actually be able to have my own life to live, but I don't know. I've basically had everything taken from me. My place to live, my dog, all types of stuff. I miss my dog Mocho, but it's whatever. It gets to get taken away from me. All because there really is, like, a bigger, more problematic form of, like, trafficking and, like, prostitution. And then when it has to deal with children as well, like, yeah, you're gonna have your life ruined. At least I don't get hit by a bus or, I don't know, get denied medical attention, sort of. Don't get hit by a bus or get denied medical attention to some extent. Or, like, get told, like, publicly, like, the police saying that, my injuries aren't, like, fatal. They're nothing to be worried about. concerned about. Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. All I know is that when this parking meter lady was right here on my last short, and like that security guard cup guy and like whatnot, that was a little bit concerning. But who would help me out here? Nobody, I guess, huh? I'm like, absolutely nobody. I'm like, I've basically angered everybody. I've angered the Caucasian to non-Caucasian community. For reference, because I owe these, cartels money for their prostitutes and workers and whatnot. And, I guess like the Asian community as well, because they have to like pay them back, but also keep me safe, because if I would pass away in any suspicious circumstance, then it would make the news and people would, question a lot of things. And in the most important like area where they're, committing this trafficking and whatnot. And then the African American to black, community, which is funny because that lady, the parking meter lady for Los Angeles that was right here, that was talking all loud, was black or African American. And then the Hispanic to Latin community, which like you saw the Raspado person and like the security guard guy just talking to them suspiciously. UCLA, please leave my records alone. I still need to get a job and have a place to live, okay? Please, pretty please, maybe. That girl is like the biggest problem for people that actually, even if not want to do good for themselves or others, like literally want to try to live their lives only after they angered, certain people. I gotta leave this door closed. It just look weird keeping it open. Anyway. What is there to do now? I'm like, Crips, Bloods, anybody. What is there to do now? Cartel, Yakuza, any sort of Asian gangs. What is there to do now? Metro Los Angeles. What's there to do now? Yeah, that's not Metro Los Angeles. It's a big blue bus. I'm like, they've definitely violated my rights the most. Who's trafficking out here? Who's trafficking out here? Anybody trafficking out here? Let me find out you trafficking. I saw this parking meter lady, and she was African American and black. Who would have thought it would be trans girls? I'm like, can you believe that? I owe money to trans girls. I dropped my keys, and they're like, you dropped the key to your future because now we got your records. And I'm like, who's got my records? This guy's probably definitely trafficking, but I don't give a nothing. That's who's got my records. All of my records. Who's got my healthcare? Certain people got my healthcare. They got access to my healthcare. They got rights to my healthcare. I don't have rights to my healthcare. I don't even get to decide what happens to my healthcare. I would have to sign a HIPAA form. I'm like, shoot. Public perception. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so on time. That was so on time. I was like, public perception? Who has right to my public perception? Security company? I'm like, LAPD's bigger than those security companies. Also, that cartel that you were talking to earlier, it's not that big. I was like, Sereno, or wait, Sinaloa, my bad. CNG, New Generation, or a Zeta. Also, when you see somebody spit on the ground next time around when I do shorts or videos, it's a reference to like, I hate you spitting on the ground where you stand. You know who else would spit on the ground? Yeah, because college students don't like somebody that's unemployed and like, you know, doesn't go to school and is in trouble with certain people, especially like bullies or, you know, LAPD or a security company or public health services or mental health services or I don't know, the entire school. I don't even go to school anymore, but I know who has my records. They wanted to bring it outside my room, so I was like, I'll just bring it outside to your place of employment. But not like a, you know, a protest one side or the other. I was like, man. I was like, see, that's what happens when you have, you know, like Los Angeles Public Services and whatnot. You're talking loud outside my room and, you know, you want to try to make yourself look good and whatnot. You just made yourself look bad with the cartel and, you know, I don't know. I guess a school. UCLA cartel? He closed the door like really abruptly or like semi-abruptly. Just like edging it down to, you know, closing it just slightly. I was like, shoot. Connections or no connections? Remember that Armenian gangs that was like kind of exposing a little bit to a certain extent? I was like, those Armenians got in trouble. I wonder who's gonna get in trouble next. I was like, oh man. The security company guy did not want to come up to my room talking loud with the, you know, parking enforcement lady. That parking enforcement lady say that I'm needy and stuff. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. Insane stuff. Also, what time is it? It's 4:42. Excuse me. That's pretty crazy. I don't know if you saw the UCLA thrift store girl like looking at me, just like straight up looking at me, and like looking back towards like the shop, probably at the security guard. Like, this is the guy that caused all these problems for Los Angeles. I'm like, yes. Now do you get why he was like, he's waiting for you? He's saying it condescendingly when I was like, by the Respaldo guy. But you would know he was not talking about the Respaldo guy. He was talking about me. I also get it, he was saying it like within a certain context that would be like more intimate. Like, oh yeah, he's waiting for you. Like, you know, like somebody about to get into a relationship. Remember who doesn't want me to get in a relationship? It's not just UCLA, you know, having my medical records and stuff. And, you know, trespassing on my private perception, you know. It's a security company, too. I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy. CSD? I'm like, CSD, need to get your stuff together. UCLA, I'm like, well, this is just a thrift shop. For the actual school itself, I know, like, they need plenty of, like, you know, cleaning up to do. And especially, you know, a lot less smooth talking or, you know, talking under their breath when they pass by me. But, yeah, for this, like, security company and a part of the school, yeah, I could speak, like, for a large majority there. Also, you never know who works here. That girl passing by, you know, looking at me like, oh yeah, this is the guy that causes problems for Los Angeles. She could, like, be a daughter of, like, an entire director for, you know, UCLA. I'm, like, waiting, dude. Get it? What am I waiting for? That's what they're always asking me. I'm like, I'm always waiting for LAPD closing my doors. Closing doors to, you know, a lot of opportunities. I guess at this point, UCLA, because after this video, they're really not going to look good at all. And, I don't know. I do know. It's just a lot to think about. UCLA, LAPD, LA Public Services, and I guess the healthcare community. Mental health workers. I was like, man. It's pretty crazy. Well, that's what happened, pimp. Get it happen. It's not just one thing that happened. It's a lot of things that happens. Sometimes I get people to, like, act out and then they have to make themselves look bad, but other times, sometimes, and, like, most of the time, they'll just sit back and, like, act casual and whatnot. I'm like, I got the keys to your $3,000 to $300,000 that I owe you for phone calls, and then you knew that I was going to be a threat, you know, with my autism and exposing Los Angeles to the point where they have to have a deficit, they have to have a budget, they have to have a lot of, you know, crime, they have to exploit my healthcare. They have to use college students, police, and a security company against me. And public services and, you know, certain communities. I'm like, I got your keys to 3,000. 3,000 to 300,000. Yo, pimp, you still want your money? This guy, he's just gonna hide in his car, you know, act casual. But I know when somebody slams their door really loud, you know, outside my room, I know it's a little bit suspect. I thought that bus was a mental health bus, so I was like, oh shit, gotta videotape that one. I was like, see, Ally Universal was not the only security company that would corporate spy me, illegally spy me, or, you know, harass me or anything else like that. I was like, see, it was another security company that started with the C. Pretty crazy. Hey, I see something that's like kind of crazy. If you notice, there's like houses, whatever, things that don't really matter. But what I noticed is that there's a mom. But notice how there's no dad. There's no dad right there. And she has 2 kids. One could be a boy and one could be a girl. Then it gets kind of darker from there, because you're like, oh, why are these college kids so mad? And I'm like, remember how they have, like, most of the girls working on OnlyFans? You know how there's that? And they're like, and I'm like, and you know how, like, some of the guys, like, will kind of disrespect you if you kind of, like, question certain things that could get them caught up? Oh, man. That guy needs to respect some, like, you know, people that are better than just their race or their color. Also, get it? That guy, it's just one security company guy. Imagine like LAPD or, you know, LAFD or LAUSD. Fatigue. I kind of don't even want to leave this guy alone now. I'm like, man, who is he going to say he's waiting to you know, to you? Who's he going to say he's waiting for you to now? I'm like, well, where's another Raspado guy for me to be next to for you to say something like that? Or another cartel at that point, where I'm like, man. So I guess those are the only people who get jobs. It's just like very like unhealthy people, very like you know, communal people where they only like know certain people within the community and they all just work together. Certain people that are like, you know, a certain skin color or a certain ethnic group or a certain culture. Certain people that act a certain way, they behave in certain manners where it's you know, very superficial, but in reality it could get like very convoluted, which means like it gets complicated and they're acting suspect, to put it simply. I'm like, man, it's funny because sometimes I would have like some people, you know, whether they're Hispanic or Latin or like black to African American, they would be like, yeah, we put them in that system. And I'm like, what system? I'm like, what system? I'm like a large group chat? Like a large group chat that knows other group chats, that knows other group chats, that knows other group chats, that knows other group chats. I guess that's the kind of system they said they put me in. It's not that hard to distract an autistic person. You just sit there in your car. You don't say anything. You just, observe. You don't really have to do anything. And, you got friends on friends on friends, whether they work at a security company or a parking, enforcement person or just somebody else going in their car. Just making it look really superficial, but in reality, it's just suspect. Got nothing better to do. I'm like, I got your keys still right here, pimp. You want your $3,000? You want your $300,000? I'm like, I got them all right here. Get it? That's not what they're gonna do. They're literally gonna leave and they're gonna go and report to, Department of Public Services or Department of Healthcare Services, or especially colleges that are corrupt like UCLA, or like security companies are corrupt too. I'm like, that's what they're gonna do. They don't have to leave now, but eventually. Eventually, maybe. Maybe one day they'll leave. Or maybe one day they'll leave me alone. Did you guys hear about those Armenian gangs, though? Those Armenian gangs, they got caught up. Or you didn't hear about those Armenian gangs that got caught up? I don't know if that guy's speaking Armenian, but those Armenian gangs, they got kind of caught up.
You know what time is it?
Where are you from?
No, well, I'm asking you the time.
Oh, I was just asking where you're from. Sorry. I didn't mean to be rude. Sorry about that. See, I just asked that guy, where he was from. He immediately got offended, and he was just like, I just tried to ask you the time. I'm like, well, why can't you tell me where you're from first? I'm like, you know how many, hood people have done that to me in Los Angeles? Especially, while I was living near, Soul Housing. And, I would catch it on camera. They're like, where are you from? Where are you from? That's why I asked them. I was like, where are you from? I'm over here talking about Armenia. Let me find out you're Armenian first. Moving your car is not going to look, innocent. You're just going to get caught up with, Los Angeles one way or another. That I could just be homeless. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. Oh, shoot, Waymo. Waymo's so smart. I'm like, man. Wait. Remember that girl that looked at me? And she looked at me with disgust and she was like, this is the guy who caused all these problems for, colleges or just Los Angeles. And I'm like, yeah, it really wasn't that hard. All I had to do was make a couple of phone calls. Get it? Oh, he understood that one. I was like, he understood that one. I was like, seriously, all I had to do was make a couple of phone calls and that was it. I didn't have to do anything else. And then, you know why that girl was looking at me disgusting, right, man? Yeah, because I owed trans girls money. And I'm like, man, you'll work with Diddy or Epstein, right? I was like, I want to make a toast to Diddy and Epstein. One guy's gone, the other guy's still here. I'm like, every time you're going to look like an idiot. Every time. Just like them. just like your pimps. Every time you're going to look like an idiot. You're never going to, you know, have a life where, you know, you're not going to be exposed one way or another. Especially by this autistic person. It's never going to occur. You're always going to get caught up. I can pay attention to everything, but whether everybody else can, that's on them. Yo, what do you think about your girls going down like that? Get it? Like going down, getting caught up? What do you think about your girls, like, you know, talking about somebody? Get it? You think like they're on the phone with, you know, their pimp? I'm like, it's a very large, I guess it's called transracial. Oh, no, not transracial. Trans-international. That's why I asked that guy where he was from. I was like, you Armenian? Because you could be working with cartel or Bloods or Crips or anybody in between. Are you Armenian? UCLA, what do you think about these girls working illegally in certain spaces when I could legalize it, like prostitution? UCLA, you don't have any comment on that? Ooh, very important executive people that, like, you know, show up in certain moments, but you wouldn't know, you know. Most people don't pay attention to anything. In fact, most people can't even, you know, stop looking at their phones and looking at the sidewalk that they're walking down in front of them before they trip or something.
Alrighty, have yourself a good weekend.
UCLA, please fix your things and whatnot. Also, get a new security company because they might not be around for a while. I was like, shoot. Every single day, ma'am, I would have to exercise my right to document these things. But you see, to expose Los Angeles in a very small limelight, you know, so that way I would stop being harassed by these workers and their pimps. You understand, right, ma'am? There's no reason to run. It's just an autistic person. I like your girl there, man. I wonder how much she is. Must be really expensive. He was not happy about that one. I'm like, let me go back to your boss. Hold on. I was like, get it? That security guy, that security guard guy, I was like, it's not his boss, but like, it would basically, you know, be kind of like toying with him or like humiliating him on the fact that, like, I would call somebody probably below him his boss. Girl boss with her purse. So the girl's your boss. Oh. If I called a trans girl my boss, would that be wrong? I'm like, I owe a lot of cartels and a lot of black gangs money. $3,000 to $300,000. I'm like, UCLA, what would you do with that kind of money? If an autistic person would, like, you know, get all that money, and if Los Angeles would stop harassing an autistic person to imprison him because he documents these things, and he has to document these things because, you know, his healthcare services and his, you know, legal services are not there for him to obtain or be available to him. I don't know if you saw that lady like whisper something to that guy, but yeah, it gets that sketchy. Check this out right after. Because remember, I have to keep myself safe because no police, no security guards, no, you know, public health services or programs would keep me safe, but yeah. I was like, that guy looks like he's intending to hurt somebody. He's very vulnerable. I'm like, I wonder who. CSG, CGS, whatever your security is called, dude. He's not gonna help me get it. He's definitely not gonna help me. I'm like, fair enough. It's a large amount of like cartel and, you know, African to black gangs I owe money, so fair enough. That's pretty fair. I'm like, see why I have to keep myself safe all the time? I'm going to be out at like 6 o'clock. You can come back then, if you want. Six o'clock, remember. That's pretty cool. I was like, shoot. Made himself look innocent in a second.
I feel like it is.
At least it was when I was.
Also, for reference, like the reason why I told him that is because like I've had this guy like attack me with my own skateboard and try to like take my life. In San Pedro, it was pretty crazy. I was like, man, do you look friendly? I mean, like, he kind of looked friendly after he put the shiesty over his head to make it look like, you know, a religious garment or a religious head garment. I'm like, then he looked pretty friendly. I'm like, what do you think about that? I can't believe I caught somebody. I caught him with this girl that he paid for right there and then. I'm like, that's crazy. In public, I was like, yo, real high class, you know, working, you know. I'm like, that girl, that parking meter lady. I was like, that parking meter lady, she was talking super crazy. I was like, I don't know how crazy, but pretty crazy. I was like, man. I was like, yeah.
Just right here. All right. I'll do
Like, really, like, crazy. I was like, man. I was like, why is this parking? Why is this? Yeah, I know about rent. You still want $3,000 to $300,000? I can't pay that much for rent. I can't pay that much for rent. But you can pay that much for rent. I can't pay that much for rent, though. Since you want to talk about rent and, like, you know, the B word. And you want to talk about it right in front of your daughter who's underage. And I'm like, you want to know something? You want me to teach your daughter something? You know, that guy right there, he just paid for a girl. I was like, just paid for a girl, and she literally just walked up in that building. I'm like, shoot, that's pretty crazy. I was like, did you see how much stuff I caught within one video? It's a crazy amount of stuff. I'm like, shoot. It's a crazy amount of stuff that I caught in one video. I'm like, man. I caught black fatigue in one video. I caught prostitution in one video. I caught you know, corrupt, you know, a corrupt community. I caught working girls, but they were white. There wasn't any black girls, but all good. I caught their pimps and even the community pimps that came up. I caught cartel. I caught them all up. I'm like, shoot. And they got in the car right when this video was about to reach its max length. I'm like, what is the hurry for? I'm like, I was like, what is the hurry for? I'm like, shoot. I'm like, see, I told you guys. I'm like, one autistic person could really expose a lot. To the point where everybody looks bad. Pretty crazy. Shoot. That's a lot to go through. They had to make it all look like, you know, casual, make it look normal or whatnot, natural. Pretty crazy. For the rest of this, I need to add, like, you know, evidence to what I've been going through. But it would be pretty hard, so I guess I gotta figure it out for Dex video. Oh my care court, what do you think about all that stuff that happened to me just now? Yet they work for Los Angeles County. They don't care because their bosses literally say, like, oh yeah, he just has a mental health, you know, condition and mental health issues. I was like, remember that MRSA that I had on my arm? And my mom giving it to me, you know, on the gate that I grazed my arm on? It like got really bad. Maybe they don't remember. Anyway, God bless everybody.